Yeah, it's crazy to think like this is what the car looks like today versus when I brought it home. As you can see, this is the same flooring, right? This is not a trick. This thing was absolutely trashed, and you can see what it looks like when I got it at the auction, right? So huge transformation. If you got time and money, you can do anything. Again, this is a great project. What to do, YouTube? This is another video where I wanted to share with you, like before you hit the auctions, before you think about purchasing on Craigslist or OfferUp, that PPV Tahoe that you saw, that's a great deal. I wanted to show you where things can go wrong, the costs, the good things, everything else between. So you're actually looking at a 2009 Chevy Tahoe PPV. This was actually a City of Henderson police car that I purchased, I don't know, almost 3 years ago. You would never know that this was a police car because, like you see in my other videos, I am really stupid and I buy things at a good deal and I pour money into them, right? So these are the things that you can do with these Tahoes. At the end of the day, that's a decision if it works for your budget. So let me kind of go through some things to be aware of. First things to know about these cars, well, they were driven by police officers. Sometimes you can get lucky and find the ones that, I don't know, were owned or like federal, that was called like a captain's car, where it has very low miles, very low hours, doesn't have all the lights, and it can actually look like this. Why these are good ideas? Well, the states or the federal government, it's taxpayer dollars, these cars get used and then they sell them you put them through an auction. Sometimes there's a third party, like a TNT auctions. Sometimes there's GSA, depending, and you know, there's premiums, but they're selling it back to the taxpayers at a good deal, if you know what you're doing. So you're gonna see a couple photos pop up, but yeah, this car did not look like this. This car was an absolute mess. This car had holes everywhere. This car had, I don't know, when they took off the badging, they used a screwdriver to take off all the badging. So this car has been completely repainted recently. This has been a work in progress. So let's talk about some things to know right up front. So number one thing to point out about these vehicles, first and foremost, the ride. These vehicles are designed to be handling like a sports car, or like I call it when I first got it, it rides like a roller coaster. Very firm, you'll feel every bump, but they say that you can do a U-turn probably doing 40 miles per hour without any roll. That comes from the front shocks and the rear shocks being designed for these PPVs, or they call them Monroes, to be very firm, as well as bigger sway bars up front, and also a lowered stance. So that is the first thing. So on the forums, when people get these things, they find the Tahoe Yukon forum, which has been awesome help for me. For everything everyone complains about is, why does my car ride so rough? Why do I feel every bump? Why does my car feel like it's falling apart? Well, people will say, hey, change out the tires. It's your tires. You need to get bigger tires. Well, that may make a little bit of difference. You got to change out these front, these coils. You got to change out the coils. You got to change out everything underneath here. I'm doing a poor job at this. For the rears, it's got a lowered stance. So if you want to keep that lowered stance, but soften the ride a little bit, you're going to have to find like a 2-inch drop spring. So these actually have the eye box in the front, or in the rear, and in the front have the Beltec, I'm running the Beltec Pro Streets up front and back for the shocks and struts, but I'm using a civilian version of the front coils, and then I just had to drop the Pro Streets allow you to drop the riding height for about 1 inch. So that's the first thing to be aware of. When you're going to get these things, they seem like a good deal. You may have had a Tahoe before, because I've actually owned 3 2009s. This is actually my third 2009. So I had 2 2009s before this. In the past, there were civilian versions that rode great. This rides like absolute crap. But today, you wouldn't know the difference. So, ride control. Another thing to point out is when you buy these vehicles, they're going to be severely damaged. So your paint's going to be probably ruined. You may get lucky. I did not. My whole entire car from the front fender all the way down had the badging. When they removed it, they were lazy. Instead of using a 3M on those rubber discs, they used a screwdriver. So I'm going to share some pictures with you, kind of what it looked like before. So do know what you're going into. This car has been completely repainted. So again, it's hard to tell that this is a civilian or a police car. This looks like a civilian Tahoe because I have spent 2-3 years working on this to make it look like this. And it's funny, every time I make a video, it's like the day I'm getting rid of something. So I decided to part ways with this. I need a new project. So number 2, well, other than the paint, that's probably number 2. Going in number 3 is when you get into the interior of these vehicles, you're going to see some videos or some pictures I'm going to pop up. You will have cloth seats up here, and then in the back you will have vinyl seats or leather seats. So it's very weird. So in the back here, these seats would be like the leather. Up front, you will have cloth seats. Okay. Another thing is that you will not have carpet, right? So I did this. I bought carpet for this. You will have rubber floors. It looks disgusting. You can never get it clean enough. So you can switch out the front seats. This is from a LTZ Suburban. So I do have all the comforts of the multiple controls, just to show, because people are like, oh, does it actually work? It actually works. Other things you will not have a center console, because the police officers have their own special center console. So you got to plan for that if you want it. I've seen other people that just rock it without it and say whatever. That was a no-go for me. So you can find these from, you go to the wrecking yard, you pick these things up, you can get these seats for probably, I don't know, $300 or less, that are in good shape. These are in great shape. I've conditioned these. Do not order these armrests or these center consoles from like eBay. They will charge you a premium, probably anywhere from $300 to $500. You can go to a local wrecking yard, pick one up for probably $100. These will always be trashed. This is the lid. They do sell kits that give you the new leather. You just take it apart and staple it. That's what I did. Another cool thing you probably won't see, this is a wireless charger. So I'll put the link in there from the company I bought it from, but it's very unique that even when the car is not even on, I can throw my phone on there and I can wirelessly charge. The car's not even on. So this is a very cool tool, device to have. Other things you will notice if you're looking at these PPVs online or other people selling them, things will be destroyed. So these bezels, the reason why I have mine wrapped, well, because I thought it looked cool. But yeah, you can buy new bezels, which I did, but a lot of them will have holes in there because there's all these computers they put there. There will be holes here. There may be holes in the dash. So do know that. Other creature comforts that you will not have from a PPV, this is called the DIC. Everyone talks about this. This is your information. You will not have this when you buy these. But the cool thing is that GM was smart or lazy, and when they make these cars in the factory, whether it's PPV or not, they put the pre-wiring for this behind here. So when you buy the PPV, this will be blank. You got to cut it in yourself. You buy these things for like $30, or you can be smart and then take this whole thing, which I did. I took it from a wrecked Suburban, and I had the buttons and the wirings there. So this gives me my temperatures, right? My miles per gallon. Am I in V4, V8, whatever mode, right? So I can do that, program keys. So, and of course I have this cool stereo. This is a Kenwood Excellion. This is their wireless version, so it's great. So, other things, I'm spending a lot of time on the interior. When you buy these police cars, like for example, this light here, I put LED lights. A lot of times you'll see these big circle like lights, or you'll see holes where they had that. You're gonna likely have to go to the junkyard and get a new headliner or pull a headliner, right? So you're gonna spend, I don't know, $50 to $100. My case, I got lucky. So my case, I did not have to replace my headliner. I did pull down my headliner to do complete sound deadening. This whole car has been sound deadened. And then if you want things like garage doors, the home link, you can just pull this. I know this is kind of silly. It does drive me nuts, but I do not have a sunroof in here, but I have sunroof control. So you can replace this for anything you want. So do know that the interiors are going to be trashed. If you do buy a canine vehicle, this was not a canine, but I've seen canine vehicles where these are these door panels are completely scratched from the dog. The cages, I mean, you can have dog hair. I've heard horror stories of dog hair that is everywhere. The smell of a wet dog you can never get rid of. So if you're buying a canine vehicle, you're likely either going to have very scratched doors, or you're not going to have any door panels at all. It's going to be metal. And you're going to have to figure out a solution for that, because I don't know the exact answer for that one. Lights. So you notice that I do not have any lights. You can look at my Apillars here. Sorry for the bad lighting. I don't have any holes here. I did. So you can even look over there. I had the strobe lights that went through. It's a simple process. You're just going to pick, these Apillars, you pick them up from Redcar, buy them, next to nothing, and you're just going to pull the old ones that are cut, put the new ones on, and then you're also going to patch the holes. So if we look at here, you can see the indication that I had. Again, poor job of videoing here, but you can see the indication that I had. So I also had to buy a new weather stripping here, because these get, the strobe light comes through there, so you're going to need to buy a new plastic stripping that goes through the windshield to cover those holes. Okay. Another thing you're going to deal with every police car, and don't ask me how I did this. Sorry for the bad lighting. You're going to have big notches here, like big cutout notches with a plastic thing, and that's where that came from. So just working, and I'll share some pictures. You can fix this. This is not a new door. This is my original door. I fixed this. You can't even tell that there was a notch there. That was fixed with, this video is gonna be really long. That was fixed with cat hair. So the glass, the Bondo glass, so you can see here, I got a perfect line. So that's a dead giveaway. It's a police car when you see the big notches here. Even if you remove this, even if you remove the lights, which you should, because it's a nuisance, you're gonna know right away, because you're gonna know those notches there. You can buy new doors, or you can use cat hair, build it up, and then sand it down, and then, I had to repaint this whole car anyway. I added the roof rack. Some people can put roof racks on, but with the holes pre-made, but I had to use a nut setter and bought the roof rack. And then sometimes people get I don't know, with this board here, so I got lucky there. So this is just some of the things to know. You will spend a lot of money making this thing if you want to make a civilian. Again, if you get lucky with the paint job, that when you buy it, you may be lucky. These are really cool taillights. These taillights are the 2015 through 2020 version. These are spider taillights there. Another thing is, you are not going to have a tow hitch. So I have a tow hitch. I'll share some pictures with you, but I have this tow hitch, however. So you will not be able to tow anything when you buy these, even though you're like, oh, I'm going to tow a boat or whatever. You cannot. But the cool thing is you can. So if you simply buy the rebarb, it's called a rebarb. You pulled it from a wreck one. You simply take off this bumper. There's a couple screws here. There's some screws here. Screws when you open up the hatch. There'll be some screws and some plastic rivets. And all you do is, I know it sounds weird, is you just pull. You actually grab here and pull and rip, and this will pop up. And then there's 2 screws below here, 2 big bolts under here, and then you can take this bumper off very easy. This bumper's super simple to take off. And then the pre-wiring, again, great about GM, whether they're lazy or they're smart thinking, the pre-wiring for the trailer is already here, okay? So this one can tow. I do have it set up for towing. You will have to replace the shifter. I need to get around to that today. But my shifter here, as you can see, it has the dummy. It doesn't have this is blank here for a reason, but it does not have the button here to go into tow mode. You can change these out. I need to do that. So you just buy another one, normal civilian one. These come out and good to go. Also, your steering wheel is likely going to be replaced. Your steering wheel might not have the cruise control and the settings here. If you do, you're in good luck, because the wiring for the volume control and the Bluetooth and everything else, even though you won't have this, you can either buy this for about $35, retrofit it and cut it in. You take out the airbag and the wiring's behind there for this. In my case, my steering wheel was trash, so I just spent the $250 to buy a new one. So, and this came from, I don't know what, a dealership in Phoenix, where I buy a lot of my stuff through eBay, very inexpensive, and it had the volume controls and everything else here. So looking at mine, this is, you know, standard 5.3 engine, standard gas tank. My engine is dirty. There's nothing fancy about this engine, but there are a few things that do stand out. One, the alternator. The alternators on these are more beefier. Things like having the double storage for the batteries, right? You get the 2 batteries and a bunch of wiring. So like little things like that you will get. Engine oil cooler lines. That is something that does come standard on here. I don't know if I can show you this, but like the engine oil cooler lines that run over here to the engine, you will not find that typically on anything other than an LTZ. The PPVs do come with that, so that just keeps the engine oil cooler lines because, you know, you put a lot of power into them. Also do this when if you can test out the vehicle, listen for knocks. So this engine is what they call an AFM or DOD, displacement on demand. So these engines, whether civilian or PPV, they do run in 4-cylinder mode when you're on the highway and then 8-cylinder mode when you're not. So it shuts things down. That technology that GM makes, that they still make today, can cause tremendous issues. So you can have knocks, ticking sounds from the lifters. One way to verify that it's not a real issue is you can program these things out. If you have a friend that has the Tech 2 scanner, or you buy something like a Diablo Sports Tuner, which I did, I disabled the DOD. No ticker, like I had the ticking thing when I first got it, kind of scary, did away with it, and you also notice actually better gas mileage and more power. So listen for the engine, listen for the ticking. If you have the lifter noises, it could just be simply as that. But these vehicles are usually well kept. So let's talk about something else that's good about these vehicles. So we went over the engine, what's the difference? Not a whole lot, a few other things. But because these are owned either by the federal government or the police departments, it's not it's not coming out of the money of the person who's driving. So the officer driving these things, every time they need to get service, it's not them. They follow a script that says, hey, at this many miles, at this, you got to do this. And the way I know this stuff, because I have friends in law enforcement, they say, hey, this is how it works. And no different than if you work for, a company vehicle, like if you work for the railroad or something like that. They're going to have the same thing. You got to get the car serviced. So where the point is that these cars are very well serviced. Oil changes done. If it needs a new transmission, it's getting a new transmission. If it needs coolant flush, whatever it may be, you're going to get all that. So that's a good thing to have. You're going to have to pull a Carfax. Carfax is really good at showing all the history. If you buy these vehicles and you know that it was serviced at a certain dealership, the dealership will be able to pull those records, but it's very hard to tell which dealership actually does it. You can go to a dealership and get the build sheet from them. They'll do that for free as a courtesy, but the build sheet really just means that your car has no anything, no OnStar, no Bluetooth, nothing. But do know these things are well maintained. I don't think the government's trying to dump crappy cars on us, but and depending on where you buy them from, they'll be very transparent with you. So if your budget allows and you like tinkering with things and wrenching on these things, absolutely buy one of these at the auction. They keep going up in price because more and more people are finding out about them. But yeah, you can buy them cheaper through the auction. Likely not have to pay sales tax. I did not have to pay sales tax. I'm in the state of Nevada. I don't have to pay sales tax because it's a government car. So yeah, you can save some money. But doing this, you can probably put $6,000 to $10,000 into this. At the end of the day, it would have just been so much simpler for me just to buy an LTZ Tahoe, right? It would have been much better, and I would have got a few extra things like the cooled seats, which I can still retrofit cooled seats because I have the seats from LTZ. You can still retrofit the heating and the cooling. I just didn't do it. Like if you want the turn signals in the mirror, like you can switch out these mirrors. Like I can pull an LTZ mirror off. The wiring's already there. I just need to change out the controls for it, right? So if I want an LTZ, it would have another button here for the mirrors to fold in. You can just take this out, replace it with the one from the LTZ, change the mirrors, and you got turn signals and you got folding mirrors, right? It's super cool. It's just what you want to do, right? You may buy one of these things and say, hey, thank you for making this video. The only thing I want to do is fix the suspension because it's crappy and just mob it, right? do it. Like, this is a third vehicle for me. This is not a daily driver. I just got carried away because I just had this vision of like, hey, has this been done before? Maybe you like, if you see my videos, hey, has anyone ever put a stereo in a Mercedes aftermarket? Yeah. Has anyone done it, documented it? No, right? So I'm not documenting like everything I do, because this video would be, you know, 6 months long. This video is long enough as it is, but I'll provide you with some insight. Know what you're getting into, budget for these things. If you want it to look like this, you know, you can. These headlights are really cool. These do actually light up. I'll show a video what that looks like. But yeah, I'm gonna miss this thing. It's actually sentimental to me. It's like I don't want to get rid of it, but today it's got to go. It's going to a new family. Someone's going to enjoy it. They don't know what they're really getting as far as like value. Like, they're getting tons of value to get the performance, to get the handling, with all the creature comforts, knowing that everything's new. That's a cool thing. So YouTube, have a good one. I don't record half the stuff that I work on, or different, you know, sound systems. I'm all about sound systems, as you saw from my other videos, like the Mercedes. And I don't want to disappoint you guys here, so I like doing crazy stuff. So this is kind of like the bonus footage. This has nothing to do if you should buy one or not, but I love Alpine, so this is my Alpine monoblock amp there. You can get a 5.1. I just had some other stuff. So this is my Alpine 4-channel digital amp, running my 4 gauge. This converts in an 8 gauge. It's probably not the best idea, but these things both work off 8 gauge. But yeah, all speakers, right? I replaced all the speakers, Alpine Type R's. I mean, everything. This whole car's been dyno matted. I'm going to share some photos with you here. How I told this whole car's been torn apart, and been sound deadened. If I can show you some of my fancy work. Oh, it's not even going to show you there. But more bonus footage. So these things, again, this was all rubber. I got all these nice mats, and you can see I got carpet under here. So I ripped this whole car out and put carpet in. If you're buying this to say, hey, I heard that Tahoes can fit a family of 7 or whatever it may be, they can, but the ones that you buy for, you know, the police or Homeland Security, whatever it may be, you cannot put a third row back here unless you put in some work. So again, good thing about General Motors, cheap or lazy, whatever it may be. As you can see here, poor lighting, but I can put in my third row. I don't, because, well, you can buy the seats for next to nothing because people get rid of them because it's a nuisance. But you have to go and buy this. You're gonna have to pull, you know, the carpet if you like, but you have to pull this trim. You're gonna have to rip everything out and bolt in. There's already pre drilled holes for those seats. There's also a piece underneath here. So if you're expecting to get third row, you can. This is a Husky, made in America. I love these things. WeatherTechs are great as well. But you can tell that this is pre-cut. So if I wanted to put a third row back here, I just cut here and then fold things back, and I can slam in a third row. I didn't, simply because I wanted more room, and this is very unique. So I'm gonna share a picture with you real quick. This is the tactical box that came with my vehicle, right? So, and then we fast forward over here, I took that tactical box and I made a subwoofer box. So underneath here is actually a down firing 12-inch sub. This is just cut, so I reused that tactical box. It was annoying, but I figured, hey, how cool would it be? And then I have like these very unique like cubbies. So, and this is all done with like that Rhino liner spray. So I have cubbies so I can store stuff. So it's really cool. I do a 12-inch sub down there, down firing. If I try to share it with you, it wouldn't work on here. But yeah, do know that that's an added bonus. You want to buy another seat, you'll do some retrofitting. Another thing I want to point out about these vehicles, even though you can buy them with low miles, they have hours. So in this case here, I'll show you guys a little secret. Mike, I have this. You can add a two-way. This is actually by General Motors. This is another thing. Remote start will not come with this vehicle. It is pre-wired for it. But this little thing here, this is pretty cool. It can actually tell me my miles. So this vehicle only has 118,000 miles. I don't drive it much. I think I bought it with 108,000, so I put 10,000 miles on it in 3 years. But the hours, so let's talk hours. I'm not a mathematician when it comes to this, but police officers, even though they're not driving around, or if you got it from Forest Service, if you got it from Homeland Security, they're gonna be sitting in their cars with the engines running because it's either hot or cold. So even though we're not technically putting miles on, we're still wearing out the engine. So do know that once you will not know when you're at the auction, you will not see hours at all because they're missing these the DIC, the information control. So I'm gonna put mine in here, kind of give you an idea. God, that's annoying. So 118,000 miles. I can go through some of these things. Oops. Let's go through some of this information here. So, right here. I don't know if this is a lot. My engine light is not on, by the way. This is just because I have the car and run and not start. You know, almost 3,500 hours. So that is something to be cautious of. You can find something that says, hey, this has only got 70,000 miles, it's low miles. Check the hours. If it does not have the DIC to do that, I believe some of the scanners, the GM scanners that you can buy on Amazon, whatever, they'll be able to pull those reports even without this. So, or a lot of these places will let you check them out if you know what you're doing and don't say anything. Buy one of these DICs, make a small investment of $30, $25, just bring one with you. You can just simply lift this up, plug in your DIC. You don't have to put it back pretty, just put it on the side here, like let the wire hang out there, plug in your DIC, and then go through the settings and see like how many hours, things like that. Also keep in mind, if you want to do something silly like I did, make this thing into a custom, more of a civilian version, put together a list, right? So this is actually list number 2, and I did it. So this is why I'm getting rid of the vehicle, because there's nothing else to do. But it's like, you know, put all the stuff you want on there, like fix the suspension, you know, what issues you have. If you get any trouble codes, I highly recommend you buy a blue driver. You find them on Amazon, they're $100. They are a miracle. They work fabulous for these vehicles. It's, again, $100 for that. But just go through with your list, right? Like, you know, all the fluids, even though this is a police vehicle and it was probably done, like the transmission, like spark plugs, the spark plugs were shot. Do the rear diff, right? Like brake pads, like fix your holes, and like, you know, new leather seats, right? Like I did all these things. Like I put this all together. I did all that. My car actually kind of looks like this. I do have the side molding here. I actually bought the side molding. I just didn't put it on. But like, this was my vision. My vision came true, and then it just went a little bit further.